Welcome to Perspectives in Adventist Education. I'm your host, Stephen Brawley, Director of Secondary Education and Accreditation at the North American Division. Adventist education started in the late 1800s and has grown to operate programs from early childhood, elementary, secondary, and university levels, becoming the largest Protestant private school system in the world. Our graduates have become prominent thought leaders in all fields. Yet, few outside of the system know who we are and what we do. This series will seek out current voices to share how we are facing educational questions with an Adventist perspective. Let's listen in to Levi Whitcomb, Associate Superintendent for the Office of Education at the Texas Conference, as he interviews Deneen Matsuda about mathematics support for parents and students.
Hi, my name is Levi Whitcomb. I'm an Associate Superintendent at the Texas Conference, and I'm here with Deneen Matsuda. Hey,
Hi.
Deneen.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, Levi.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a wife and a mom and a teacher, and I've taught in public school and Adventist schools, and I was an adjunct professor at La Sierra University for many years in the School of Ed, and currently I teach fourth grade at Redlands Adventist Academy in Southern California, and Redlands is really close to Loma Linda, if that gives you some idea of where I am.
Beautiful area out there.
And I started teaching in 1986, and my focus area has been math because I've always been so passionate about math.
Now, okay, that's interesting. You say that. A lot of parents listening are going, math. Ooh, that's the subject I hope that if my kid has a problem, they won't ask me.
Yeah, so let me tell you what my passion of math was. I passionately hated math. And in fact, my husband was a high school math teacher for 25 plus years, and whenever people would, they'd say, "What do you do?" And he'd say, "I'm a high school math teacher," and they'd, "Oh, I hate math." Like that was me. It was always hard for me. And if I can use this word, I always felt stupid in the area of math. I flunked out of Algebra 1 in Academy my freshman year before the end of October. I took the minimum number of math courses to graduate. And when I went to grad school, I hadn't had any math experience really until grad school, and we had to take statistics. And just to give you an idea of where my skill level was and how much it had grown from that freshman year to stats, in the first day of class, I knew I was going to flunk again. So I told my boyfriend about it, and he decided that he would come with me. He was in grad school at a different school. He would come with me to class every day and then go to my home and reteach me the whole statistics class every period. And I got my very first A in math ever in my life in a class. I married that man. But it wasn't until I became a teacher that I started teaching in 6th grade. And I realized that my math weakness became my strength, because it was never, "Why don't you understand this?" It was, I got what they don't get. I totally understood why they were so confused and frustrated. So that's when my feelings started to evolve, and I kept thinking about how I was taught math. Lecture, do a page, and, that was it.
I think we're in the same math class.
Okay, yes, I think most of America has been in that class. So that's how I was taught, it's how I was teaching, and I realized this isn't right. There's got to be more, and I didn't know what the answer was, but that's when I started searching, and I started going to conventions and reading. This was all pre-social media, so we didn't have all these, this is old school, trying to find ways.
Was it on Instagram?
Nothing, no Pinterest, nothing. And I started slowly falling in love with math and helping my students to do so as well. And since then, I've learned that there are thousands of ways to approach math, and activities and games and hands-on learning, and it really helps students to have a deeper understanding, not just doing worksheets from a from a book, the number of students with math anxiety or who just hate math is high, and I get that. And so I used to hate math, but I don't hate it anymore.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about teaching Bible.
Yeah.
Honestly, the passion and the emotion that's obviously very present here, and that's amazing. Now, obviously, this is a path. This is the journey. Your journey. So, but you said, I researched this. I looked. Researched where? What kind of research were you pulling from, and what actually was meaningful for you?
Yeah. So there has been a lot of research on this because math anxiety is so prevalent. And there are a couple really destructive lies that persist about math. One is that there's such a thing as a math person and not a math person. You know, I bet if I asked you, Levi, are you a math person or not? Okay, there you go.
Oh, I mean,
yeah,
sorry.
no.
You just told me there isn't such a thing. Sorry.
Oh, well, I jumped the gun, didn't I? But, and then second is that speed is a measure of math success. But there's a lot of research and neuroscience that has been done, and Joe Bowler from Stanford University is really in the forefront of this, and Carol Dweck with growth mindset and fixed mindset, and we now know that there's no such thing as a math brain. I've seen Joe Bowler now twice at a convention, and she loves to show this picture. Imagine a hospital nursery with the little isolates, and she has pictures, like a poster on each isolate, math brain, not math brain, not math brain, math brain. There's no such thing as a math gene. Through our experiences, people can look like they're math people, and they aren't, and not math people, but everyone except the severely disabled, you know, but everyone can learn how to do math. She has a lot of YouTube videos, short ones and long ones, and in those videos and her research, we find out that this is interesting, Levi, when we make mistakes and struggle, they've done scans of the brain, and that's when the brain is most on fire, is when we're making mistakes and struggling. And so, you know, I teach my students that from the day one, and parents, and I'll hear students in my class say things like, "Oh, I made a mistake. My brain must really be on fire." You know, it's a total mind shift.
It is, yeah.
And then the other lie, if I can address that, is that speed is connected to math success. And I think Einstein says it best. He said, "I'm really not so smart. It's just that I stay with problems longer." And Joe Bowler says that mathematicians are some of the slowest thinkers that we have. Shocking,
Really?
right?
That's not what you would
Because
assume.
in class, what we see as the math success people are the ones that get it done so fast. Like, they're the first ones to know the answer. They know the answer, and I'm still processing the question, right? So this is really life-changing for students, and they're so excited to learn this. And I really want to spread the word.
Absolutely. Again, you can hear it in your voice. Like, you're super excited about this. As we're talking through this, I'm imagining some of my students over the years that I've had, and I'm pulling up their names, and I'm, you know, kind of getting emotional thinking about them because they really struggled and they really questioned their value, and I wish I could go back and walk through that with them again.
Exactly, Levi. I think every teacher has years that they wish that they could go back and redo because of the mistakes we've made, the things we didn't know, and how I wish I had known this as a beginning teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any, I mean, who pops in your head when you think about this?
So many. And even the difference is that those early students, Maritza, I think of Maritza. Where is she now?
Yeah.
The students that I get now, they leave me different, but I just have to pray that somebody caught all of those, because it wasn't me.
Sure. Yeah. And again, I'm there with you. There's so many of these teaching experiences that as you continue to learn and continue to develop, you go, "Oh, I wish I could apply that again." As the parents listening are going, "Yes, I want to apply that right now. I want to do that right now because I only have one kid." You guys have had hundreds of students over a year, right? If not thousands. And so students struggling in math, bring home a particular attitude about their value, which can affect the individual but also the family. How do we do this? How does this work?
I'm really glad you asked that, because it does affect the family. There's a cartoon that I love. Imagine a kitchen table, and a mother and her child, and they're doing homework. Mm-hmm. The father walks by, and the mother and the child are both crying. You know how cartoons that shows the tears blasting out of their faces, and the dad says, "Oh, I thought you were working on math homework," and the mother says, "We are." You know, I think we've all been there. Math has the power to crush human souls like no other subject. Mm-hmm. And, I had a 6th grader several years ago, and at the end of the year, he wrote me a Post-it note, and he said, "You made me love something that I used to hate, math." 2 years later, my college-age daughter was doing a project, and she needed to interview some junior high students on their questions for God. And I was lucky because, she lived at home and I could read these. And all of a sudden, this same student, he came up and he wrote, "Dear God, will I ever be good at math?" This is that same boy who 2 years previously had finally learned to love it. And so he had reverted in those 2 years. And math anxiety is kind of like alcoholism. Alcoholism is a whole other level of trauma, but all it takes is one drink, right, to erase years of sobriety. Mm-hmm. All it takes is one failed something, and you're back to rock bottom, which in math anxiety is what? I'm stupid. Mm-hmm. So attitudes toward math can affect the whole family, especially when you have parents who don't have the time or resources to help their student, or they don't know how themselves. I work a lot with my students' attitudes. I ask them, their heart. How is your heart? And I have them use Post-its all year long. And can I share with you just some of the things that come to my mind that they say? I ask them, how do you feel when you do poorly on a math test or a quiz? And now this is not one student. Every phrase I say is going to be, a different student. But it makes me feel dumb, horrible. My parents give consequences like no TV and no things to do. It makes me feel angry at myself. It makes me feel guilty, like I'm not wanted. It makes me feel dumb or mad, like I want to give up. I don't know what to do. It makes me feel embarrassed. Guilt. There's that word guilt again. I feel like I need to get perfect on every assignment. I feel inadequate, like I'm not good enough. This one I really like. Sometimes it's embarrassing, but sometimes I laugh because it's funny, the mistakes. But this absolutely impacts families, and it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why I work hard to involve the families, to teach them about the necessity of struggle and mistakes as an essential part of learning. It really is the whole family unit. I can't just teach this to my students. Parents need to know this too.
Right, absolutely. So parents listening to this right now and saying, you know what, I did not realize it was this foundational. It was this tied to emotions, self-value. Where are my resources? Where do I go? How do I fix this?
Oh, well, I think growth mindset, fixed mindset is a really great place to start, and that's by the work of Carol Dweck. There are books, there are YouTube videos that they can listen to. Joe Bowler also has a lot of videos, short ones, long ones, and they're not scholarly. Mm-hmm. They're for us. 3 years ago, during COVID, my husband and I started a YouTube channel. And we put out, cool. I'm not a techie person, so if you knew me better, you'd know that this is kind of hilarious. Okay. But every Sunday afternoon, we put out videos with games and activities that parents can do to help their students practice their math skills. And we have over 100 videos so far now. It's hard to imagine that we have that many, but that's something that's accessible for them. And then we also have a a website called matsudamath.com, and there's a section called Tools where parents can go and get some of the resources that can help. And it's not just for students who are struggling. You know, you often hear about the students who are accelerated or advanced and they're not being challenged, they're bored, and it's for those students too. There's nothing like games and activities to challenge students farther.
Take a moment to just kind of speak directly to the parents listening right now. What do you want them to really take away from what they've heard?
You want desperately for your child to succeed, right? We all want that, whether it's a struggling student, an advanced student, we just want them to succeed. But parents really need to understand that struggle, mistakes, and failure are an essential part of learning. And don't be ashamed to get help. You know, we all have medical professionals, right? Why wouldn't we have academic professionals on the team? And, you know, sometimes parents in their frustration, they'll say things like, go to your room, get your work done. And oftentimes the students just don't know what to do. So I think I want to tell our parents to be encouraging and be supportive, and to remember that shame from the Garden of Eden, I think, is in us deeply. So the things that we say matter to our kids. You know, they're already feeling shame. I think of my student this spring who came to me. We had done an assessment and she missed 3 problems. Mm-hmm. And she came to me and she said, Mrs. Matsuda, do I have to take this paper home? And let me tell you, this girl's parents are chill. They are not that crazy perfectionist kind of a parent at all. But that shame is already there. And parents have this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to think of this, you know, how they talk to their children. It just reminds me of our relationship with God so much, because we make mistakes, we struggle and we fail because life is hard, like math is hard. Mm-hmm. And if we can give acceptance and grace that our Lord and Savior gives to us, if our parents can do that with math, it changes things.
Absolutely. I heard a counselor one time say that the voice in our children's head is our voice. That's their voice.
Say that again. The voice.
The voice inside of our children's head is our voice. And I'm trying to imagine that being in my children's head, my voice, while helping them through math right now. And I'm going, you know what? Probably tweak that a little bit. There's probably a better voice for them to hear, right? You promised me a math problem.
Can I just share one with you?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is going to change our parents' lives, I think. I just learned this year, you know? All right, so if you think of subtraction as distance. So let's say I get to 15 minus 8, okay? Don't know what that is. But if I add 3 to the 15, 2 to the 15, it's 17. I add 2 to the 8, it's 10. And I bet you know straight up what 17 minus 10 is. Okay, so think always, you can change numbers because subtraction is the same as distance. Okay, now, do you have a pen?
I do.
Okay, so write this down. 5,000 minus 839. 5,000. And write it properly, like up and down.
849?
849.
Okay, got it.
Okay, do you want to take an Advil right now? That's a lot of regrouping, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that.
3 spaces.
Yeah, stop. But you're never going to have to do this again.
Okay.
Take 1 away from the subtrahend and the minuend. In other words, take 1 away from 5,000. Oh, okay. So minus 1 is 4,999.
Okay.
And take 1 away from 849.
Okay.
Now do it.
Oh, easy. 4,151. Done.
Spread the word.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited. The parents are punching their steering wheels right now in excitement. Like, wait, I can do math.
Why is this a secret? Wait.
Okay, I'm confident for my voice to be the voice inside my kid's head now.
Beautiful.
Deneen, thank you so much. This was so fun.
Thank you
really
so much.
This is Stephen Brawley, your host. Thanks for listening. Join us again next time as we explore more perspectives in Adventist education.
An Adventist Learning Community podcast.